Now we can discuss about optical disc. In computing and optical disc recording technologies, an optical disc is a flat, usually circular disc that encodes binary data, that means bits, in the form of bits, and lands on a special material, often aluminum. One of its flat surfaces. Its main uses are physical offline data distribution and long-term archival. Changes from pit to land or from land to pit correspond to a binary value of 1, while no change, regardless of whether in a land or a pit area, corresponds to a binary value of 0. Non-circular optical discs exist for fashion purposes. C-shaped compact disc. Design and technology. The encoding material sits atop a thicker substrate, usually polycarbonate, that makes up the bulk of the disc and forms a dust defocusing layer. The encoding pattern follows a continuous spiral path covering the entire disc surfaces and extending from the innermost track to the outermost track. The data are stored in the disc with a laser or a stamping machine and can be accessed when the data path is illuminated with a laser diode in an optical disc drive that spins the disc at speeds of about 200 to 4000 rpm or more, depending on the drive type, disc format, and the distance of the read head from the center of the disc. Outer tracks are read at the higher data speed due to higher linear velocities at the same angular velocities. Most optical discs exhibit a characteristic iridescence as a result of the diffraction grating formed by its grooves. This side of the disc contains the actual data and is typically coated with a transparent material, usually aqueous. Usually lacquer. Okay. The reverse side of an optical disc usually had a printed label, sometimes made of paper, but often printed or stamped on the disc itself. Unlike the 31.5 inch floppy disk, 3.5 inch floppy disk, most optical discs don't have an integrated protective casing and are therefore acceptable to data transfer problems due to scratches, fingerprints, and other environmental problems. Blu-rays have a coating called Durabis that mitigates these problems. Optical discs are usually between 7.6 and 30 cm in diameter, with 12 cm being the most common size. The so-called program area that contains the data commonly starts 25 millimeters away from the center point. A typical disk is about 1.2 mm thick, while the track pitch distance from the center of one track to the center of the next ranges from 1.6 micrometers, that is for CDs, to 300 ranges from 1.6 micrometer to 320 nm, that is nanometers, for Blu-ray discs. Recording types. An optical disc is designed to support one of three recording types: read-only, example CD and CD-ROM, recordable write once, Example CD-R are recordable, rewritable. Right, once optical discs commonly have an organic dye, azo dye, mainly used by verbatim, or an oxonol dye used by Fujifilm recording layer between the substrate and the reflective layer. Rewritable discs typically contain an alloy recording layer composed of a phase change material, most often AG in SB, age in SBTE, an alloy of silver, indium, antimony, and tellurium. Azo dyes were introduced in 1996, and photoalkaline, that is patholysine, patholocyanine, that is PATHALOCYANINE, only began to see wide in use in 2002 year. The type of dye and the material used on the reflective layer on an optical disc may be determined by shining a light through the disc, as different dye and material combinations have different colors. Blu-ray disc recording discs don't usually use an organic dye recording layers, instead using an inorganic recording layer. Those that do are known as low to high discs and can be made in existing CD and DVD production lines, but are of lower quality than traditional Blu-ray recordable discs. This is the information regarding optical disc in technologies. This is the information I described about this optical disc. Wishing you all the best. May God bless you.